Elliot Flayden from Superior, Colorado. We've heard a lot here tonight about genocide. Let's get something straight. If you're using the same standard for genocide for Israel that you use for everyone else, genocide is a specific intent offense. That means that it's not enough that civilians die. It's not enough that a lot of civilians die. It's not enough that civilians die in large numbers, if that's even happening. They have to be killed for a specific purpose for it to be genocide. That be killed for the purpose, under international law, under American statutes, of wiping out a civilian population in whole or in part. And simply put, if you examine the facts on the ground as they're occurring honestly and not listening to propaganda or ill-informed people, that cannot be occurring and is not occurring. And I say this for multiple reasons. First of all, it is undisputed, many people here have used it in their argument, that Israel has complete military power over the area. That's why they say it's not a war. Israel has complete air superiority, missile superiority, and even though they won't admit it, nuclear weapons. If Israel wanted to eliminate the population of Gaza for the purpose of eliminating it, they could do it in a heartbeat. Yet, the population of Gaza endures. This in of itself is inconsistent with the specific intent required for there to be a genocide. But you go even further, and it gets worse for the position that you've heard here tonight. The civilian combatant ratio in this war, and it is a war that Hamas started without provocation on October 7th, is 2 civilians for every 1 combatant. Now that may sound bad, but our civilian to combatant ratio when we were in Iraq was larger than that. 77% of the people killed in Iraq were civilians. If you look at the drone strikes in Pakistan that we do, it's a 10-to-1 ratio. Israel has this ratio, despite fighting in one of the most dense areas of the world, Gaza. And they have this ratio, not by coincidence, but as documented by the BBC and many other news publications that are hardly pro-Israel, take many steps to call in their strikes in advance. You saw this in the international press where they announced in advance that they were first going to go into North Gaza and then South Gaza. You've seen stories that they call in their bombing campaigns before they do it. This is inconsistent with the specific intent required for genocide. You don't hinder your military operations and tell civilians to evacuate if you want to wipe out civilians. So they have the capability to genocide, but they don't do it. The ratio is not consistent with it, and this ratio is consistent with the actions they're taking. And that's because this group is using one standard for Jews and a different standard for everyone else. And that, I charge you with, is anti-Semitism. You are anti-Semitic.